All right. Go ahead and get the ball rolling. So I'm Marjorie. I am going to lead our webinar today. We're going to be talking about advanced user permissions deep dive, right? So QuickBooks Enterprise, which is what we focus on every week, right, is the highest level of the QuickBooks products, and it has a high level of user permissions, right? Sometimes back in the day, before before QuickBooks Enterprise had all the features it has today, right? Like back in 2009, 2008, a lot of our clients would move up to Enterprise specifically just for these features, for the user permissions. Now they've improved over the years, just like everything else inside Enterprise, but it's a big deal because when you're talking about some of the other products in the QuickBooks space, of course we have, Pro and Premier, we've got QuickBooks Online. A lot of those products, I mean, Premier maxes out at 5 users, Pro maxes out at 3 users, right? So if you only have 3 users in the system, the permissions may not be necessary to be as tight. So we've got a husband and wife, they both have a login, they're the owners, and maybe we've got a office manager who does a lot of things. Maybe we don't need as many permissions in that space. But when you're talking about Enterprise, which can go up to 40 users now, you've got 10, 15, 20 users, you really do want to make sure you're taking advantage of these permissions and making sure that people only have access to what they should have access to. Now, I always say this, it's 2 sides when it comes to permissions. Right, one side, which is the employer side, is they want to make sure that people aren't having access to what they shouldn't have access to, like I just said. The other side, though, which is the employee side, employees want protections too, and they say, I don't want access to the things I shouldn't have access to because, 1, it's none of my business, and 2, I don't want to be blamed if something happens over there, right? So it's really great to set these up for both sides. It shouldn't be an uncomfortable conversation, hopefully. All right, as a reminder, so we do have our YouTube channel, so you guys can go check out other videos on there. We actually are loading a ton of videos that we had not made public before. They were internal only videos, and they're all being loaded on YouTube as well, so definitely go check it out. And we have our Facebook group for QuickBooks Enterprise users as well. We do have our on-demand support. If you guys had to call support this week and you are frustrated with it, sick of it, you can use our support plans as well. All right, so let's talk about what we're going to do today. User permissions. So I'm going to leave this slide up here for a second. Mostly I'm going to be dealing in product, but some of the key things I want to take away. First of all, they do have some symbols in the system when you're setting up roles and users, the symbols, right, the asterisks and the little caret here. And those are just telling you unrestricted access to view all transactions or require an Intuit account. So some little quick keys in there or quick visuals. We're going to talk through the user list, talk about manage permissions. I don't know if you guys knew that you can actually print out permissions. Not that we ever want paper, but if you want to print it to PDF and put it in the employee's file, for what permissions and what access they have in a system, you can do that. It's good to look through that as well to see some of the ones that say unrestricted access to view all transactions, and then to look at like where they're actually restricted, because that does not mean full reign of everything. And even the admin user doesn't have full reign of everything technically. And you can't edit the admin user, right? So another thing I always tell people when we're talking about users is to go through the list. Going through preferences is a great way, right, to see what is available in the system that I don't have turned on. But going through the security is also a great way to see it, to say, like, what is this bill tracker thing? I've never seen this inside of QuickBooks. What is this, custom, we'll talk about custom permissions. I've never seen this before because it's nowhere else except for in here. So it's also a great way to kind of see, like, what are the features that are available in QuickBooks. So I tell people if they haven't gone through it in a couple of years, go through it. Or like once a year in the what's new, scroll through those permissions because it's a great way to see, hey, what is this thing? I don't know what this is. I've never seen it before. all in one nice, pretty little place. Okay, so let's go in product. Something else I just want to remind you guys of is that I'm going to be switching back and forth between admin user, which I'm in as admin right now, and a test user. So again, I apologize for that switch back and forth. I'll try to, I was pretty good at filling dead air time. Where this starts, so you have to be an admin in as admin, and I can go up to set up users and roles. They have some other things in here, right? Manage login, setting, view users. You can see who's logged into the file right now. Intuit account user management. That's everybody's favorite topic nowadays is Intuit account user management. That's where the purpose of this, right, is that someone has access to any data that is in the cloud, stored in the cloud, right? So like as an example, QuickBooks Time or formerly T-Sheets. That data is not stored in the QuickBooks database. It sends some data to the QuickBooks Enterprise database, but it's not stored here. So to access that data, you have to have an Intuit account user so that you can log into the online system to see it. Same with payroll, right? So employees, they can be set up on payroll. They have access to see the view my paycheck. That's what it used to be called. Now it's called workforce something. So they changed names so much. They can log in online and see the data that's stored online, right? You have to grant them access to see it. It's not stored in the database. Some of the features that QuickBooks has released recently, right? So like, you know, scanning bills, OCR scanning bills or credit card receipts. Those features, the data syncs into your QuickBooks file, but where the software is being used is actually in the cloud, right? So again, same thing, you have to have user access to that. So we're talking about connecting multiple systems together, and in order for them to use those systems that are not embedded in the desktop product, you have to have into a user account. So it's really important. I understand why they have it, but I know that those can get quite frustrating. So definitely let us know if you guys are struggling with some of them. So I'm going to come in here to set up users and roles and take you through a couple things. So first of all, you have your user list here, right? You can add in. There is no limit technically on how many users you can add into the system. The end user license agreement, the EULA with Intuit, says that you're only supposed to have, if you have a 30 user license, you're only supposed to have 30, I think they allow you 32 users because admin doesn't count and your accountant doesn't count. But there's not like a limit in there. So you have your user list here. You can see I can go to manage my permissions, which is here, and then also at the bottom of the roles list when we're looking at the roles. The difference is that if you assign someone multiple roles, right, from the roles list, and you click on manage permissions here, it'll show you, right, I can select the user. I can also select multiple roles. So if they have all of these roles, show me what permissions they have since they have all these roles. And then we have our Intuit account roles down below here. So you can see, right, what account roles they have access to as well when they sync to an Intuit account. Now I'm in a demo file, so I can be able to see everything. What I really want to pay attention to today is this roles list, though. So QuickBooks comes with some standard roles, right? All of these are standard in here. Some of them you can edit, like I can't come in and edit the admin role. Some of them you can edit. I can go and edit my accounts payable if I wanted to. You can create them from scratch, which is what we're going to be doing today. You can also duplicate them. So take everything that has it that way, duplicate it, and then let me make my few modifications that I want to make. Okay. Now I've seen a lot of people come in and set up roles specific to names. If you have moved from like a Pro and Premier into Enterprise, they will take the user permission from the Pro Premier user and they will create a role list called, you know, Mike. So sometimes if you come in here and say it says Mike's role, that's why. It's because you came from Pro and Premier and it created a role specific to Mike. I try to stay away from that, right? So if you have somebody in there as Mike's role, I would go review Mike's role, maybe print out Mike's role, print out Jason's role, print out Tina's role, and see where they're connected, see where they're similar, so you can create a role called warehouse or whatever it is, right? Whatever their role is. It's much better than having to maintain and test and have them break and have them call you for each of their individual roles. So Mike calls you and says, hey, I need access to this. Tina calls you, hey, I need access to this. Much better to consolidate, right? Take the time to consolidate. Okay. Coming down this list, a couple things. So we talked about a little bit there, right? The asterisks, what it means. These users and roles have unrestricted access to view all transactions, including payroll. Okay. However, if I click on manage permissions and I look at that role, it does not have, I'm sorry, I can't really make this bigger. Apologize. Oh, I can. Look at that. Oh, look, if I scroll in. It does not have actual full access to the system. Okay. Now, accountant is, to me, very confusing because they have an accountant and they have an external accountant. I don't know why they have both, but they have both. External accountant, what they have access to that other people don't have access to generally is this accounting tools. Okay, so that's some of the things, if you've watched some of our other videos where I can go in and batch enter transactions or mass clean up inventory and stuff like this. So this accounting tools, you get access to it under external accountant role, not under accountant role. But again, what I'm pointing out here is that even though it says you have access to all transactions, so if I come down here to, enter bills, enter item receipts, it says it has access to all transactions, but it really doesn't. Right? It has view access. It really doesn't have access to everything. There are some things where it does not grant it access to. And those things, right, like banking reports, like why wouldn't you grant your access to your accountant for banking reports? I don't know. I don't know. So that little asterisk, it's meant to be a quick visual of a warning, right? And I really think that the reason that they put it in was mainly they will have access to payroll. That's what they're calling out to you. Okay, so that is a good awareness. The little caret, they don't have it on this screen, but they have it on the user list down here. These are the roles that need an Intuit account. So they will require you to give an Intuit account if they have those roles. All right, so just again, talking about the managed permissions. The other one that I like to point out is full access. I mean, how much more clear can you be? But full access does not get access to accounting tools. Oh, look at that. That's why sometimes people say to me, hey, I want to batch enter my transactions or do some of these other things that are in the accounting toolbox. I don't have access. I'm in as the admin. Why don't I have? I'm in as the admin. Or I have a user that has full access. It's not full access. Okay, so again, awareness is key. Like here, no access to the bill tracker. Maybe how many people on the call have never seen the bill tracker before? It's pretty surprising. So that's why I say too, go through this list, say, and push on it, right? Say like, well, what is that? What are these things? Okay. Also, I think it's funny, like full access does not include set closing date and password. You can go in and override some of these things. So just awareness, right? It's good to look through. That's why we have this manage permissions. You can go in there as a user, click on the user, display what permissions they have, print those, store them in their file, or you can print them out if you want to not have to read through the, like maybe highlight which ones do we want people to have. It's a nice little cheat sheet. Okay, so let's start going through some of the permissions. Hurry up here, we're 16 minutes in. Okay, so you come in, you set up a role, you can call it whatever you want, AP clerk, right? You can call it whatever you want when you set up a new role from scratch. I like using AP clerk. I use it on my demos if anybody's ever seen me do a demo before. And then we come down here and we have sections, right? Each of these sections is nice. It's really well organized. Accounting section, banking section. Some of it makes sense. Some of it maybe may not make sense, but kind of tells you where things are. I still recommend when you're setting up a role from scratch to start at the top and just go through. It's not that much harder to just look through them rather than to kind of poke around. Probably take you longer to poke around than just to go down the list. The other thing that I suggest when you're setting up roles, it will be super annoying, but I suggest to be tighter and let them ask for permission. Let them tell you where they need permissions that you have not granted them permission. Because it's better to restrict access, talking about maybe sensitive data, better to restrict access and let them ask you, them being your employees, right, the people who are not in as admin, let them ask you for access to this area of the program. So it's annoying in the setup, but long term, right? People, what I've seen before is people get super annoyed and then they go and they give people full access. That's not the solution when it comes to everything accounting, right? Okay, so we're going to start in the accounting area, and I just want to take you through some of these things. So accounting area, it says like none, full, partial view, right? You have all these different areas. So in accounting toolbox area, it's all or nothing, right? You can't choose to give them access to the inventory section or the batch ender invoices, but not the batch ender bills. It's all or nothing. They have access to the accounting tools, all or nothing. In the asset registers, so these are not transactional. This is literally if you go into the chart of accounts, you double click, right, on employee, withholdings. I'm trying to think of, or double click on inventory, or double click on, bank account or anything like that, right? Anything in the asset section that you can double click on, it opens up, it looks like a checkbook. That's what this is talking about. So it's not a transaction. So it's saying, do you have access to the checkbook? View. Full access. I have view access. I have print access. So there's no create, modify, delete because it's not talking about transaction at that point. Okay. Edit, close transactions. It's full yes or no. Do they have the ability to enter that closing date password is what it's really saying, and change a transaction that's in the closed period. Equity registers the same as asset. I'm not going to go through all these, but I just want to show you the differences. That's what I'm going through here. Journal. So now we got to a transaction, right? So a transaction looks a little different. Full access or view, create, modify, delete, print. Okay. So we talk about this view, right? There are some view-only roles. View-only roles we like to reserve for the owners and the CEOs of the company to hopefully not mess with some of our data from the accounting department, right? Just kidding. But we do give people view-only rights. That's something that you can grant people access to. Create. So can they create a journal entry? Would you like them to be able to create them? If they create it, can they modify them? Yes or no? Can they delete journal entries? Whether or not they created them, right? This modify is not modify mine. This is modify any journal entry. And can we print them? Okay. So printing journal entries, maybe not that big of a deal, but if you have payroll that you put in names on, maybe you don't want people to print them, right? That's print to PDF, print. If you, on the, asset registers and equity registers, we might not want them to be able to print those details out. That's why you limit, can they print? Print is also covering send, right? So if I were to send an invoice, if I don't have print access, I cannot email. So it's kind of the same thing, right? Because it's printing to a PDF and then emailing. So print limits both. Liability registers, managed fixed assets, all or nothing, working travel. So you guys kind of see what the different things you're going to have access to in here. Now I'm going to go none on journal entries. And I'm going to come down here to banking because this is one thing I want to clarify for people as well. So under the banking area, we have a section called bank registers. So they have specific registers based on the bank accounts that I have set up inside of QuickBooks, right? Which is cool. I can say, oh, they have access to the checking account, not the payroll account. Great. But what you have to be aware of is if you give them access to asset registers, right? And then also these are some asset registers. So you want to be aware. If I just give them, if I say, okay, you can view company checking account, but I don't give them access to asset registers, they won't be able to view it. You have to do both. If I give them access to asset registers and I don't want them to see these two accounts, they won't be able to see these two accounts, but they will be able to see the rest of the asset registers. Okay, so let's take a look at what I'm saying here. Sorry, I did that as AP clerk and I should have done it as my test items here because that's what we're doing. So let me take away banking. I have them access there, and asset registers, I have them having access there. Okay, cool. And so this is where I'm going to log off, close company, log off. I don't know, a lot of people, I've been finding this out recently with some of our support calls because I have been taking some of our support calls just to learn, you know, why people call our support versus QuickBooks support. And I've been learning that people don't know about that log off from company. They just have exit, so they'll close out of QuickBooks entirely instead of just getting to this no company open screen. And obviously it's a little bit faster to not have to completely restart the program. That's just up here under the file menu. I can't stand this view with this little blue bar down the left side, but I'm leaving it here to remind me during this webinar who I'm logged in as. So first of all, when I come in here and go to chart of accounts, I did not give myself access to view chart of accounts. So I can't get to the register this way in this situation. The different way to get to the register is under banking, use register. Now notice, I can see all the accounts. So I couldn't see the chart of accounts in the other section, but I can see them. I can see them all now. It's showing me the balance sheet accounts. So if I come in here and I go to company savings account, right, it says I do not have access. You need view access, so talk to your admin about it. If I come into my checking account, there's my register. So I can see that one. If I come into my use register, I don't know why it really matters if you can see chart accounts, right? But because there's no balances or anything, but it's funny. If I come in here to my due from, since I have access to see asset registers, I can still see this register. See balance, I can see everything. Okay, so just awareness. All right, let me go back in. I'm going to show you one more that's really cool. Or this is the last piece I'm going to show you around setting up users and permissions. Because the rest of it, I mean, if you guys want to go through on your time and read through them, which I suggest, you can go through. We don't have too much more. But the other thing that QuickBooks Enterprise allows you to do, oh great, of course. Let me try one more time to get logged in as this file, otherwise I'll just go into a, seriously, I've been doing this in and out of these files all day. It gives me an error while on webinar. Never fails. Okay, so let me go in here. So this is one that got released from Enterprise a couple years ago, and it's a really big deal. To me, it's a really big deal. So we have under company, you go to users, set up users and roles. One of the roles that they have set up in here is they have lists, right? So all our lists are here except for our key lists, which are employees, our customers, not profiles, but our actual customers and our vendors. So those are under centers because that's where those sit, right? Now we do have an inventory center, and inventory is on the items list down here. So, yeah. But these three sit actually in the same table. This is why. So Customer Center, if you go to Customer Center, we have the same thing. View, create, modify, delete, print. Can I view balance? We have this custom area that was added a couple of years ago. So this custom area is really important. why people use it is because they want to limit, this is one of the biggest asks from QuickBooks users for so many years. They want to limit who people can see. I want my sales reps to only see their customers, not everybody's customers. I want my project managers to see only their projects, not everybody's. So first of all, when you come in here, allow this role to create new customers, so that's in there. Now, if they create a customer and they're only allowed to see theirs, which is like there, the sales rep will show you, but they forget to put the sales rep in, they won't be able to see them on the list, and then they're going to come to you as the admin. Say, where's this? I just created this customer. They're not there. It's probably because they didn't put in the criteria they were supposed to. So we can create a new customer group. I'm going to call this Marjorie's customers. And this is where I have seen, oh, it already exists. Sorry, I guess I doing a test. This is where I have seen people get really specific on their roles, right? So they'll say Joey's customers. They'll say West Coast, West Coast customers or whatever it is. So based on these fields here, customer type, sales rep, status, that's active or inactive, their credit limit, right? Their credit limit can be between 5,000 and 10,000 if you really wanted to. Their state, right? You can choose, let's choose state equals or not equal to California. I add that as a criteria down here. Then I can say like their customer type also equals, and this is going to be your customer type list that shows up in here. Retail, add. Okay. So you can see some of them in here. Country, state, sales tax code. Maybe if you don't have states in there, you can use sales tax codes. Sales tax items. And then you have custom fields. These are custom fields that I have set up in here. Okay. It'll show you the customers, and you can say yes or no. Right. These are the ones that they will be allowed to see. And then say finish. Now, once the group is created, you have to come in here and say, can they view, modify, delete, print, view balance? Yep. So what permissions do you give them access to? So then when I close out of here and I log in as my test company user, it's pretty entertaining, right, to see the things, because I have not given this user access to transactions at all. And so that's a good thing to, again, just be aware of, right? So I can go in and see customers, I can add new customers, I can modify existing customers, but I can't see anything that they're actually doing. So when I come in here as my test user, I only see users. So if I customize my columns here, oh, well, I'm not allowed to modify the customer center because I didn't give myself access. But basically, these are only people who are in California. Okay. If I, it won't let me edit. Did I not? Oh, there we go. Customers that are in California, right? And they didn't specify. They just said state, but it's the bill to state. And the additional setting is that they are retail. That's what I set up in here. So all these customers are in California or retail, and I can see them. I can see their balances, but guess what? I do not have permission to view transactions. So again, you just have to have awareness. But a really cool feature that they have in the users as well. All right, we're at time. So hopefully you guys got to learn a couple pieces around ways you can take advantage of user permissions more effectively in your enterprise file. Future courses, I do have people asking me for dates on these. And to be transparent, some of these things, like the WebGility one, is also being run by Intuit. So it's not up to me on some of these. And so I can't give dates right now, unfortunately. So hopefully you guys will just listen in. Also, on the weekly emails that get sent out and say, hey, this is what we're going over, the one that comes like within 24 hours or in 2 days, it'll tell you in that email what the topic is for this week. So that is very accurate. So you can decide, hey, I want to attend or don't want to attend this week's. Hopefully everybody wants to attend all of them and learn all these magical things. All right, guys, I'll answer a couple questions in here if there are any. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Thanks for attending. And let me know if there's any topics that you do not see here. Right, FIFO's not on here. I had somebody ask me about FIFO, so we're running a FIFO one in a couple weeks too. So definitely let me know. Okay. There's a question, Carrie, if I give someone customer setup permission, is there a way to make a field required? So there's not a way in product to make a field required. There's only one field that's required, and that's the customer name. However, we have for customers written applications that sit on top of QuickBooks, right? Customizations that will allow you to do that. We've even had things like where customers want to track reasons why, like why are you making this change? And it pops up and you have to submit a reason why. We've done that for customers, like why are you changing the price on the item? Why are you changing this customer's credit limit? And so we can do that, but it is a customization on top of QuickBooks, not built in naturally. All right, guys. I don't see anything else. I'll hang out here for a second. If you guys have anything else, just let me know. Thanks for attending again.